Welcome to the Women at the Top podcast interview series, Spot On. My name is Regina Barr, and I'm the founder of the Women at the Top network. As always, I'm excited to bring you stories and strategies that help you elevate your personal and professional life. But today we're doing something a little different. You're used to hearing me as the host interviewing incredible guests from all walks of life, but today we're turning the tables. Joining me today is my executive assistant, Chris Gosswiller, who will be asking the questions. That's right, I'm going to be in the hot seat for a change, and Chris is going to lead us through a conversation on a topic that's always close to my heart, escaping the holiday traps. So, Chris, welcome. I'm thrilled to have you here today.
Well, thanks, Regina. I'm really excited to be here on the other side of the mic. And I know how much this topic means to you. And I can't wait to dive in to learn about the holiday traps with you.
Sounds like a good plan, especially as we're gearing up and heading in.
Yep, that sounds great. So um, let's go ahead and get started.
All right, what do you got for me?
So the holidays are supposed to be joyful, but many people find them stressful. Why do you think that is?
Well, it's interesting because I think we place a lot of pressure on ourselves to be perfect and spend too much, overcommit, and sometimes even deal with difficult emotions. But some of you who may not be familiar with my work, let me tell you just a little bit about myself, and maybe that will help you understand why these times are so important to me. I've always had a very robust career in corporate. I started a business that I ran for 20 years. I'm still doing some of that business in terms of speaking and coaching. And over the last several years, I've started a real estate business. So life is jam packed, and I've always spent a lot of my time helping other people achieve their personal and professional goals. And I'm passionate about helping women find their voice, navigate challenges, create the life and the business that they really want. And sometimes with that, what I've discovered is we women try to do it all. We put so much pressure on ourselves, myself included. And that's why I became so passionate about this particular topic. And I was really excited that you had agreed to chat with me about this. So,
Yeah. Excuse the background noise. I have my house getting clean today. Just turn the vacuum on.
we women, we got to make it happen, right? Thanksgiving's next week. We got to have
Yes,
the
we're
house
going
clean.
before Thanksgiving. So okay. So you talked about the holiday traps. Can you explain a little bit more what you mean by that term?
Yes, I certainly can. And for me, there may be other holiday traps, but I think for most of us, there are a couple traps that I think most people could relate to, if you will. So, one is perfection, which we've already started talking about that. And I got to tell you that I've always been a perfectionist, and I am my hardest critic, my hardest boss. I always joke around that my boss is a biatch, you know that word. And then people are like, oh, who's your boss? And I'm like, me, right? Very much perfectionist. I think overspending. We get caught up in the keep up with the Joneses and all the holiday hype and the Cyber Black Friday, Amazon Prime, all the deals and all the things. I think we get caught up in FOMO, fear of missing out, and we overcommit. I know that's been a lifelong issue for me, actually, dating back to when I'm a little girl. And then also emotions, right? The holidays can be very emotional. I really experienced that when I relocated from New York and left all of my family and friends in New York and was experiencing the holidays for the first time, um, really on my own. My husband, then fiance, was with me and his parents, but it was very different than seeing my friends and
Yeah.
families. And then also learning over the next couple of years that my father-in-law had lost his mother on Christmas and the emotions that brought. So just it can just be a very emotional time for people. It's not always joyous. Sometimes there's grief and loss associated with that. So those
Yeah.
to me are some of the traps.
Yep, those are really important. Let's talk about that first one, the perfection trap. Um, we all are subject to this at some points in our life. What is that perfection trap, and why do so many people fall into that during the holidays?
Well, I think the perfection trap is that we feel like everything has to be perfect and that we hold ourselves to this unrealistic perfection. Actually, it's sort of a marketing created perfection. As someone who is a former marketing executive, right, where we are being held to this impossible standard of trying to do and be everything. And I'll give you a little example. Excuse me, I'm getting over a cold, which is kind of interesting talking about the traps today because when we get to overcommitment, we'll talk a little bit about that. Um, and I think we're trying to hit this unreasonable standard of holding ourselves to what the media and what we think other people are doing. I mean, all you have to do is scroll on Pinterest or go to Instagram or TikTok, and it's like, wow, everybody's doing the holidays and they're already decorated. And if you didn't put up your Christmas tree already, you already feel like you're missing out and that you're behind the eight ball for that. So I think that we really have to be careful about falling into that perfectionist trap. And I'll tell you something, I used to stay up till all hours, like Christmas Eve, making homemade dough to make fresh baked cinnamon buns in the morning. And let me tell you, what I discovered is I found a recipe, like a cheater recipe, what I would call semi homemade, or where I take something store bought and I shiz it up. And I made that recipe and everybody raved about that recipe. And it was the easiest thing I ever did. Open up the cans of dough, put them in the pan, mixed up brown sugar and whipping cream and some other things, poured it over the top, baked it, took it out, let it cool a little, threw on the frosting from the can that it came with, right?
Yeah,
And it was the best thing. And so I've learned over the years that we can deliver a positive holiday experience without, burning ourselves down to the ground. And that's just
yeah,
one simple example.
yeah. I totally agree with that. I think that, like you said, we look at the media and we look at social media and what everybody else is doing, and we're thinking that we're not doing it up to those standards, and we need to stop. That's just ridiculous. That you have to know when enough is enough,
Mhm.
and that you're okay. Sometimes I joke. I was talking to the lady who's cleaning my house today, and just talking about simplifying. And I said I'm kind of doing Christmas light this year, where I'm just going to decorate a few focal pieces around the house. And then I'm just going to say enough is enough. And then while I'm doing that too, I'm going to go through my ornaments and some of my Christmas decorations, and they're going. I'm going to get rid of them. I'm just going to start to pare down because I have a lot of
Yes.
Christmas and I don't
Well,
need it all.
no, and what's interesting about that is sometimes those decorations and those ornaments have an emotional attachment to us. And I got to tell you something. I don't know about you, but I have some holiday decorations that were gifted to me that I
Mm-hmm.
have been hanging on to that I don't even like. So, what I've decided this year is when I take out my ornaments, I'm going to identify 5 Christmas ornaments or decorations that I am not in love with, and I'm going to pack them away and get rid of them because all they're doing is taking up space mentally and then
Mm-hmm.
physically, right? So
Yeah.
I love that you're streamlining because that's something that I'm trying to do as well because sometimes less is more, right? We don't have
Yeah.
to look like some of these crazy holiday shows where, we're all
Where
completely
all
decked out.
surfaces are covered. I don't need to cover every surface
No,
with
no.
holiday. Not every wall needs a thing. I'm going to pick focal points in each room, and that's it. Just
And I think
simplify
that's a
it.
great plan.
Yeah, yeah. So let's go into the next holiday trap, and this is just a bane for me. Overspending. So for me, there are sometimes the earlier that I start, the more that I spend, especially on gifts. So
Mhm.
I'm really trying to be mindful of that this year. So why do you think that this is such a common trap? What do you do
Well,
about that?
it's the holiday hype, right? Um, I think the way marketing is done is geared to help us overspend. Like, for example, I don't know if you've ever been shopping and then it's like, it'll say, oh, if you spend $12 more, you'll get free shipping. And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get the free
Yes,
shipping. And then you're looking and looking and you can't find anything for $12, right?
fill
Or
my
it's like,
cart.
and then you fill the cart. And I guess what? Sometimes if you look, now you spent an extra 20 or 25 bucks when the shipping maybe would have cost you $5 because they have a flat fee or something like that. So I think that psychologically we get played sometimes
Yeah,
and we fall into that overspending trap. I think the other thing too is I love giving gifts. I don't know about you, Chris, but
I do.
I love the holidays. I mean, I would love to be buying gifts and giving gifts. Like, if I could do that professionally, I think I would do it. I like wrapping them. You know, I love the whole part of that process. So I think sometimes it's easy to say, oh my gosh, I got this cute gift, but wouldn't that be cute too? It's one more thing, one more thing. And then you do one more thing,
Yes.
one more thing. And then it's like, oh, okay, now I got to do one more thing for this person too, especially if you're seeing them
Yes,
at
you
the
can
same
even it
time.
out.
Right? So one of the things that I'm doing, um, or trying to do, and I think you and I might have talked about this at our event last week, but remember when people were having babies and they would do this thing, or at Christmas, if they had kids, young kids, they would do something like they wanted you to give them something the child wanted, something the child needed, and then a book to read,
Mhm.
right? Well, I'm trying to do that this year and try something new. So I'm trying to do something that, like, my husband Kevin wants, something that he needs, and then an experience that we do
Mhm.
together. And I'm hoping that he will like reciprocate with me because, to be honest, sometimes I'm at the point in my life where it's, I don't really need one more thing. I mean, is it nice to get gifts like that? Yes. Is it fun to open gifts? Yes. But I would so much rather do something with my husband. Like, for example, they have, I think it's Sam's Point up in Duluth, the lights. Will they do something similar to that in Prescott, Wisconsin? And my husband and I, for various reasons, have never been able to get there. One time it was an ice storm, literally, and you couldn't drive because the roads were so bad. And the second time we were trying to get there, it was so cold and I wasn't feeling well. We decided not to go. So I'm going to see if we can't get there yet this year and make that one of our experiences. But it really could be anything. Another thing that we historically had done when I first moved here, we talked about that emotional piece a little bit, was I needed to establish some of my own new holiday traditions because all of them kind of got left back in New York. So we started going every Christmas Eve to the Como Zoo, which for those who aren't from the Twin Cities is, I think, one of the only free zoos in the country. And they have a beautiful poinsettia display in the what is that building? Conservatory?
Conservatory.
In the
Yes.
conservatory, and we would go through the conservatory, see all the plants and flowers in the poinsettia display, and then we'd walk around and see the animals. And guess what? Because it's kind of cold out, not a lot of crowds. So it just became like something that we did. When we started going to our cabin, that tradition kind of went by the wayside. But now my mom is in Minnesota, and so we are spending more of the holiday in town. So we resurrected that last year, and that's something that we'll be doing with my mom. And my mom has a difficult time getting around. And the beauty of this particular zoo and the conservatory, it's not that big.
Yeah.
So it's easier for her. It's easier for us to have her have this experience with us and walk around and not feel pressured that, for example, like the Minnesota Zoo, which is so big, and even just to get inside, there's so much walking to get to it. Even if you drop them right at the entryway, there's just a ton of walking.
Yes.
So,
I agree.
so that's some of what we're doing to try to um, overcome that overspending gap, focus a little bit more. Yes, I want to give gifts because I like doing it. I like wrapping them. I like picking them out. but then also having that experience and maybe focusing more on the experience side of the gifting. And it doesn't have to be expensive. Like I just said, the Como Zoo is a free zoo. Now, I will tell you, I do always make a donation to them
Mhm.
because I'm so appreciative um, that they are available and that they're open for all to enjoy. So it's not like it has to be inexpensive. But if you are on a limited budget, there are free things that you could do to enhance that experience factor.
Yeah, I agree. I really like the idea of experiencing, creating those memories, because I think that's priceless when you are trying to find something where you can do together as a family. Um, we are actually doing we're going to a lights display at a local arboretum here in Chicago, the Morton
Lovely.
Arboretum, and they do a fantastic thing. This is probably our third year going as a family. My kids really look forward to it. It's just a really fun. We're actually going during Thanksgiving, so the Friday after Thanksgiving, sort of a kickoff
Fabulous.
to really get in the holiday mood. Yeah, so I really agree with the
That's
experience.
awesome.
That, yeah. So we're going to get on to the third holiday trap that we're talking about today, and that is the overcommitment trap. Many of us feel that we have to say yes to everything, to every party, invitation, every family event, um, and we have a hard time saying no. So, do you have any tips or techniques? How do you politely say no and still, have maintain a really good relationship with people?
Yes. So the first thing I want to tell you is it's really important that you identify for yourself what is your purpose and passion and what is going to make the holidays fulfilling for you. So I'll just share this. I think you can tell I have a cold, but I was very sick over the weekend. High fever, couldn't even talk. My throat was so sore, I couldn't even swallow. And it was really fascinating to me because I had a very full schedule. I'm a realtor, so I had listing appointments, I had a buyer strategy, I had some showings scheduled. Um, and all of a sudden, I'm super sick and I can't talk. And suddenly, I was able to clear my calendar. Now, I was blessed because one of my clients actually had reached out and said, "Hey, would you mind if we move this?" And I was like, "Yes." And I just said, "Sure, no problem." The other one, I reached out and said, "Hey, it was a buyer strategy discussion." I said, "Hey, I'm under the weather. Would you like to do it over Zoom?" Now, mind you, I could hardly talk, but they came back, "Oh, no, no, that's okay. We can reschedule. Get better. We'll be praying for you." And I was like, "Oh my God, you're so sweet." And then the showings, excuse me, I have a great network of people who I support, so they support me, and I was able to get someone to take that on and do some showings for me. So voila, cleared my calendar so I can rest and relax. And then the other things that I canceled, I thought to myself, wow, how quickly they become unimportant, right?
Yeah.
So I think you really have to be clear about what is and isn't important to you. And then the other thing, and I'll get into the saying no, but the other thing for me is I try to, it's like when I talk about marketing. When I do marketing, I can't do one off things because I'm a single solopreneur, right? So I always have to do things I say with legs that have helped me do more than one thing,
Mhm.
right? With the time that I'm spending. So, for example, um, I decided we were only going to commit to like one activity during the week over the course of the several weeks leading up to the holidays. And so I'm very active in my chamber. Um, we at the chamber, and I'm the chair, so I feel very obligated to participate in as many activities as possible. So we are supporting a local theater called the Open Window Theater.
Open window theater.
Yes, and we are selling tickets to A Christmas Carol. So I decided that supporting the chamber is important to me. I'm wanting to have family experiences. So I bought tickets for myself and my husband and my mom and a guest for my mom so I could, one, have that experience with them, and two, I could support the chamber, and three, support this local organization in helping to promote that. And the way that I did that was I also bought some tickets to give away. And I've been promoting the Open Window Theater on social media and other things. So to me, that's a win-win-win all the way around because
Yeah.
I was able to say yes to several things that were important to me, and I put a boundary on what I was willing to do. Now, in terms of saying no, what I would tell you is what I do is I always say no with a twist. And sometimes it's, gosh, I'm not able to commit to that right now. But if you, let's say they were wanting to get together, if you want to get together in January, I would love to reconsider, why don't you send me something? And they may or may not, excuse me. And I'm okay either way. If you send me an invite for January, I'm down with that. I'm probably going to make it
Mhm.
happen. But if it's in this short window where I've already made some important commitments for myself and my family, maybe not. Um, so, and then if it's a request for your time to volunteer or do something, sometimes I will say, no, I'm not able to. However, there's the twist. You might want to contact so and so because I think that's a good fit with their interests and skill sets, and they may have some availability. So that's saying no with a twist. Sometimes I delay. Hey, can you send that to me? I got to check with the hubby. Let me see what's going on, and I'll get back to you. And then that gives me a little time to think about it. Do I want to figure out a way to fit it in? And then sometimes when you delay like that, the other party forgets and it kind of goes away. So
Yeah.
it's a win-win when you do the delay. And then we already talked a little bit about this, but knowing what your purpose is for the holidays, you know, is it going to another happy hour with a bunch of work colleagues, or is it maybe spending an evening with my mom, for example, helping her to bake some things for church?
Yeah.
And so that's something that I'm already committing to because she has to do some baking for their Thanksgiving feast. We go to different churches, but their Thanksgiving feast is this coming Sunday night. And I've already committed to helping her bake some pies. And that accomplishes a couple things. It's that experience, having that time with my mom, supporting her in the work she wants to do. And again, for us, the holiday, the reason for the season, right, for
Yeah.
us is about our faith. And also for me, it's about family. So that's what I'm committing to do. And I guarantee that I will be helping her bake and do some other things for Christmas for her church. And then whatever else I'm going to be doing on my end of things. So I don't know if that's helpful to you or others with how I'm saying no. Because when I say no to one thing, it means I can say yes to something else. And we kind of talked about that fear of missing out.
Yeah.
Um, we all have limited time. And when I was younger, I hardly slept because I was working 3 jobs when I went to college and then a couple jobs when I graduated to pay bills and to get ahead. I literally, to go out and do fun things, I literally never slept. There were times when I would go home and take a shower from being out all night dancing, and I would get on the train and go to work. I would sleep on the train for an hour, but my God, I cannot do that anymore. So
No.
now I focus on JOMO, the joy of missing out, because when I say no here, I can say yes to something else over here. And I think that's what we have to focus our time and energy on is the JOMO. What are we gaining by saying no here that we can do over here? So,
Yeah, I do. I agree with all that. And I think a lot of times the perfectionism trap melds into with the overcommitment because you feel like you need to do these things because you have this unrealistic standard that you feel like you need to like present to everybody around you that you're popular or you've got all these things going on. But as you get
yeah,
older, I guess I've just realized that's just not what I want to do anymore.
no,
It's
no.
not important to me. And if some things, I find that some things don't get done, they just don't get done. And that's okay.
And what's funny is like when
No
they
one else
don't
is
get
going to
done,
know but me.
exactly, nobody knows. And then really, did anybody miss it? Like that's the thing. It's like oh my God, if I don't do this, people are going to be crushed. And then you find out, no, they weren't crushed. They didn't even notice that
You
it
didn't even
wasn't
know.
done. Yeah. Crazy, right?
Yeah. So the last holiday trap that we're going to just talk about is the emotional trap. And I have found that this is hard because I've lost a lot of family members and they stir up a lot of emotions. Um, when you've lost loved ones, you've lost the family traditions that go along with that, that family member brought to the holiday. And I think sometimes this trap is overlooked because it's supposed to be a happy time, but it's sometimes it just for others it can really, they don't understand your sadness during this holiday time when you are missing that person so much. Um, how do you ever experience that yourself, or how do you find joy when things feel hard or different from past holidays?
Well, first of all, I think it's okay to acknowledge your feelings, and it is okay to feel sad or um, miss people or miss traditions and things. So, the one thing I would say is take a little time out for some self care, even if it's just to have, a little take a bath or whatever. For me, sometimes it's taking a little quiet time to have a cup of tea and sit off by myself, usually by my tree, and just enjoy and experience the glow of the tree with some quiet and be quiet with my feelings and then be okay with that. The
Mm-hmm.
other thing that I do is, when I was a kid, uh, my mom started working nights. So I really took over a lot of things for my mom from the time I was 9. And one of the things that I had loved doing with my mom before she started working was making cookies. And I
Mm-hmm.
literally took that over and figured out how to make cookies and things. And I still do that. Now that my and so even when I moved to Minnesota and I had no family really around to really bake cookies with or anything, I still made cookies because that felt like I brought a part of my childhood back with me and it felt good. Later, when I moved to Inver Grove Heights, I got invited to a cookie exchange. So now I'm baking, which is bringing that tradition forward from my childhood, but then I'm also sharing it with other women in my neighborhood, and we've been doing that, oh gosh, probably almost as long as I've lived here, and I look forward to that. We even did it during COVID, if you can imagine, and what we did is we set up stations on our porch where people went around and delivered the cookies. So I think you have to find ways to not bring forward everything, but the piece that's most important. And now, like I said, my mom is here after 30 years. So we're resurrecting and enhancing on some of those traditions and finding ways to incorporate what she likes to do. Like, for example, she loves to make cheesecake for the holidays. But
Mm-hmm.
as she's getting older, it's a little harder. And I know she wants to make it. So I told her if she's wanting to do cheesecakes, I will come over and help her do her cheesecakes, and so that'll be like a new little tradition for us to do together. So I think, don't be afraid to acknowledge your feelings, but then try to find a way to move on or move forward. And by all means, if you do need help, like mental health support, there's no shame in asking for help. And it's also okay to reach out to friends and raise your hand and say, "Hey, I'm feeling lonely." Because I guarantee if you told a friend that, they would be there in a heartbeat for you. I know I would if somebody said
Mm-hmm.
that to me.
Yeah, I
So those are
definitely.
just some of the things that I do. So
Yeah, those are some great takeaways. So hard to believe, but Regina, we're winding down on time, and we always end our interviews this way. If you could give our listeners or watch our viewers today one key piece of advice to escape holiday traps this year, what would that be?
wow, I could give so many pieces of advice, right? But I think for today, what I will say is be clear, be purposeful on what your intention is for the holidays, and use that as your measuring stick or your guide to filter requests that are coming in, and use that to be able to say, "Am I going to do this? Yes or no?" And I think if you go into the holidays with that in mind, all the rest will become easy and will fall in place. So that's what I will leave you with.
Yeah, that's great. A great point to end on, Regina. So absolutely. I Yeah, because I know that the holidays can bring a lot of joy and a lot of stress, but with the right mindset, I think you can really make the most of the holiday season.
I completely agree with you. I think it's all about being intentional, not falling into the traps that we've been talking about, but creating moments that truly, truly matter. And I do want to take a moment to thank you for stepping out of your comfort zone and being the host today and leading this conversation. You know, you asked some great questions and really helped bring out the key takeaways. So I just want to say thank you for that.
Well, thanks, Regina. It's always a pleasure to join you for these discussions. I always enjoy myself.
Well, we'll have to do it again. And with that, I want to thank everyone for joining us for this episode and overcoming the 4 holiday traps. We hope you picked up a few tips to help you enjoy the holidays with more peace and purpose. And with that, until next time, take good care and have a joyful, balanced holiday season. Bye bye.
Bye.